According to my boy Korpsx.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, put your make sure you send the YouTube link to the group chat demo. Because I told him that we would.
All right, so I'm live. I'm live. You guys ready?
Yes, almost.
Oh man, I'm kind of nervous about where this is gonna get into tonight.
Dude, are we gonna cry again?
We'll
No.
see.
No,
we'll see.
there's no crying tonight. Crying for bitches.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God. I'm done. I'm tired of it.
Tired of crying?
Yeah, man. I'm over it.
I know I cried a lot last week.
Alright, I'm live as well.
Not a lot, but I spent a good night crying.
Yeah, dude. There's nothing wrong with a good old fashioned crying.
A good old baby cry.
Good
Oh my God,
old
I just ended
dude.
my-
Sylvester's already in here. Let's fucking go, you fucking slut bag. Oh my
Whoa,
God.
Whoa, jeez.
That was a little aggressive.
Yeah,
He
fuck,
likes it
dog.
rough.
Whoa.
Hello?
He likes it rough.
You're getting a call back from that guy.
I wish he would call me.
All right, check it out. So we are here, usual Tuesday podcast. I am your
Wait,
host.
I don't think Dable's live.
God
I'm
damn
live,
it.
I'm live.
You're live?
I
Okay.
accidentally ended my stream, but I just redid it.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm gonna
Well-
send you the stream right now.
Well, we are here. We are queer, and
Whoa! Wait! We're what? Who's what?
who's we?
No, they.
They, them,
They.
them. God damn it! Oh, bro, I have something about that.
Oh, here we go. Give me
I
the
have
intro before you fucking get started with this
right,
nonsense.
Because you know I'm racist and I'm a fucking
What?
bigot and I hate
What?
women.
What?
So-
Why?
Because that's just the type of fucking guy I am.
No, we just know you don't give a fuck. I'm gonna clip that, loop it, and put it on TikTok. I'm a racist.
Bro, turn that into
bigot.
a beat. Bigot.
Yo,
bigot.
Korpsx, you got
Yo.
a big sign off from Mother Zero. Big sign off. She really likes you.
Oh.
What'd she say? What
She
happened?
just said that she really liked, because she watched our podcast on marriage and stuff, and she was
Well,
like, I really like the way that he described his relationship with God. And I was like, damn,
Ah.
oh, cool.
See, those that are not religious, they tend not to like us darker folk. I'm just saying.
Wow.
Oh, wait. Speaking of Mama Zero, we gotta clear the air. Wait, give me an intro before we clear the air.
All right, yeah, my bad.
Oh, this
my
is your host,
God.
Big Motherfucking Korpsx, representing the smoking section. But this is the usual Tuesday podcast coming to you live and direct. And I am here joined by the wonderful and powerful and the amazing gentleman, my man, 0%, and my good friend, my good pal, Save Wonder. Yeah, both representing their YouTubes, Facebook Gaming. Please, everybody, check them out. My guys, we are here again. Love you guys, man. And I'm always happy to do these podcasts with you guys, dude. I really don't think you guys understand how much joy it fucking brings me, man. to sit down with you guys.
I definitely don't know because I get excited. But before we get too excited, let's clear the fucking air real quick since we
Stop,
want to
bro.
bring up
Listen,
Mama
we can
Zero.
just
No,
It's Korps's
no,
week.
no, no, no,
It's
no, no,
Korps's
no,
week.
no, no.
Let's just
No, because
jump into it.
Korpsx is gonna get so much
Let's just
enjoyment out of this.
jump
Korpsx is gonna
into
get
it.
so much enjoyment out of this. Korpsx, Big
So
Daddy
some
Korpsx.
confidence.
Remember
my
the
man.
other?
Uh-oh.
Remember the other night? The other night. This is a couple
while back.
episodes ago.
Yeah.
Couple episodes ago, we were having a huge debate about kissing your kids on the lips, and you know how we as fathers were always gonna kiss our kids on the lips until they, you know, they no longer allow us. And our counterpart here swore up and down that his parents never kissed him. Swore up and down that he would never kiss his kids
dad.
on the lips.
His dad.
No. I went back and watched it, and he said
I think
that
I
his
did say
parents.
both. I did say
His
both.
parents never kissed him. This motherfucker, his mother sent him a picture of her kissing him in the mouth.
Wait. No. You're misconstruing this. She sent a picture of us puckering when I was little, like this, very close. There is actually no evidence that I was ever kissed.
Put it in the
I
Discord.
was very
Are
close.
you
I'm not
calling
putting
your
it
mom
in
a
the-
liar?
No.
Put it in the fucking Discord.
I'm just, all I am saying is that the proof that is in question has no grounds because it has
not
no
substantiated.
no tit,
So
no touch.
So no tip. Hello?
No
What
touch.
the fuck?
No.
Wait, so you're saying that you guys aren't touching lips in that
We are not.
in that
we are
picture?
Not. We're not. I know. I know for a fact we're not. Wait, can I?
Okay.
Can I see it?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
okay.
Send it in the Discord.
I'm not
It's
sending
okay.
it in the Discord. No.
Send it in the fucking Discord.
That's my.
It's okay.
That's my
It's all right.
mother's
Your
photo.
childhood trauma is valuable
Let
here,
me see
and
if I
it's
can find
respected, and it's held.
No, but tell Corpse what the message
It
was.
is so.
Tell Corpse what the
close,
message was.
But it is not touching.
Tell Corpse what the message was.
I'll put it in the group chat. What was the message of what?
I might have thrown you under the bus.
For what?
Isn't that what you said that she said? Didn't you say something along the lines
she
of
said,
that's
"I'm
what
gonna
she-
throw you under the bus." Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
Mhm.
don't spread this around. But Corpse, look at this. Listen.
Don't spread this around. Where are we gonna put it? I'm throwing that. I'm putting it somewhere
Don't throw it
where.
in the Discord.
Let's
Do
see.
not do that.
That shit's gonna be the thumbnail of the
Well,
video
listen.
on my YouTube.
Bro, there's no. it
Well,
should
listen.
be. Oh my god, yo, 0% exposed. Oh, we put this at the end of the clip.
Look
No.
at
Bro.
hold on. Whoa,
There's
but check
no
this
way,
out.
bro.
Check
There
this
is
out.
no way.
evidence.
There is no way
There's
that she did
contact.
not kiss you.
That's
There is
contact.
no. No, it's not. No,
There's
it's
no
not, dog.
space, bro. You're like sucking
There
your.
is-
Never mind,
Dude,
dude.
there is space. What are you talking about?
Your top lip, your top lip is definitely touching her bottom lip.
No, it's
For
not. No, it's
sure.
not. I literally
Oh,
see the pixels in between. Okay.
You're a cute baby. Look at Damo.
Listen.
Who wouldn't want to kiss you? I'd kiss you, Damo.
Stop.
I'd kiss you as a grown ass man. No, but shout out to my
I'll kiss you right now, dude. Don't fucking dare me.
shout out to Mama Zero though for keeping Damo accountable. Because Jesus,
I could have
Christ,
also
yeah.
kept this under the rug. So
you
know.
could have. You
Actually,
absolutely could have.
You know?
You absolutely could. I'm
That's
glad
just
you
gonna
did
get
it.
exposed like Jeffrey Epstein's flight log, bro.
No. Anyway, doesn't matter. Anyway, so listen, maybe I did get kissed as a child, but I still think it's weird. I think it's weird.
Actually, I did have somebody post on my TikTok a comment that said the only reason that you would think kissing a kid in the mouth is weird is because you're sexualizing children.
No, it's not about sexualizing children. It's literally just about, for me, it's just about there are certain germs that I want to share with certain people. There's only one person I want to share those types of germs with.
Wait, okay, so you wouldn't let your kid drink out of your straw?
Probably clean it first. Like the good old like take the shirt and like bloop bloop bloop. There you go.
There's no shot, bro.
So I do my
Okay,
dad.
all right. We're not talking about this. We're not talking
Anyway,
about this.
yeah, well, forgiveness.
Wait,
Let's just
yeah,
forgive it for
let's get
but
on to
hey.
the topic at hand.
Hey, but shout out Mama Zero. Thank you. My walk with God has been a very peculiar one. It's not perfect, but yeah, you know, the God I believe in loves me for not being perfect, you know. And so anybody who hears this and watches this podcast over, know that you're loved and you're cherished just the way that you are. Yeah. And on that note, our topic for tonight is going to be about forgiving, right? And the power, not only the power of forgiveness, but what does that look like for people? What does that entail? What does that include? And I've kind of juggled this around about how I want to approach this. So, when's the last time you guys have found yourself forgiving someone? Let's start off there. So, initial question is, when is the last time that you found yourself forgiving someone in your life?
I mean, I think you got to be a little. That's kind of a broad statement, right? Like, if we were late to the podcast tonight and we didn't start at 8:00, could I say that I was forgiving of that?
Yeah, you could say that.
Or
I think, or do you want to like, I guess, delegate it to like something like big, something that really like hurt us in terms of like, oof, that really hurt, and that's gonna take some time to like, for me to.
So that's why there's levels to this shit, right?
Yeah.
So there's levels of forgiving somebody. Like, let's say, right, I was late to the podcast, or even like, me being in the hotels, my Wi-Fi fucking blows. So I tell you guys, hey man, I'm sorry. Like, I know it kind of fucks up the flow of the motion. You know what I mean? And we're trying to have these conversations, and then you know what I'm saying. So I beg you guys' forgiveness, and you guys always tell me, "Hey, Corpse, it's fine," right?
Mm-hmm.
So now so let's take it to the next step. So there's that level of forgiveness, right? We do this every day, right? Somebody bumps into you at the store. Hey man, my bad. No problem, bud. Like, you know what I mean? No problem. Hey, it's all good, buddy. You know what I mean? They step on your shoe. Don't trip, G. Like, you know what I mean? It's no problem. No fucking problem. Now, when was the last time that you forgave somebody? Now, this is where it's going to start getting a little deep. When's the last time that you guys forgave somebody that you had to deny access to?
Deny access, you mean like cut somebody off?
Yes. So, access looks like a lot of different things, right? So, access could be in cutting off, like, I'm not going to talk to you ever again, right? Or maybe you have to set a certain boundary of like, yeah, we can text, you know what I mean? Or you can call me, but I'll never have dinner with you ever again. Or we'll never hang out at the park, or you won't come back to my house. I won't go to your house. There's friends that we forgive that we don't quite trust the same after that. You know what I mean? So could you guys give me an example of something that you forgave them, but limited access to them after that?
I think I have one. It's kind of hard because it's hard because it is close, but it's also I didn't have that exchange with them. It was more just like acceptance of like you're not the person that you're never going to be the person that I kind of like feel like you could be. So because of that, like I'm accepting the fact that like I just have to let that version of you go, and like it's okay. I'm gonna live my life. I'm not gonna like be mad at you. I'm not gonna be resentful anymore. I'm just going to be kind of like we're two separate humans now. It's gonna be okay.
That's interesting though that you would word it like that, because like who are you forgiving at that point? Are you forgiving them for not meeting up to your standard? Or are you forgiving yourself for setting such a standard?
The thing is that like he did like some things that I don't necessarily, and I can't really like get into details obviously, but
sure,
there's things that he did that I didn't necessarily think were right, and things that he could have done better, and I was younger at the time, so it's a little bit different of a dynamic, so I couldn't like really articulate the way I can now. But like in growing up, I was like, okay, you're just never gonna be this person that like I kind of envisioned you could be, and that has to be let go at some point for me to keep going and not be mad and not be resentful, and like everything's cordial. Like me and him are cool. But like anytime he calls or chats, it's very like, cool, and like, we'll chat back and forth, but it's never like deep, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's still interesting because you brought up the fact that you were younger when this happened. So do you think there could be a change in dynamic now that maturity has struck a little differently?
I was going to ask that.
You know how to converse. You know how to communicate properly. Well, for the most part, properly. And you have a different outlook on the dynamic of friendship. Do you think that that's something that could be brought up and rekindled, or do you just not want to put the energy into it? Because I know how you are. You're very reserved, especially when something happens. You're like, I don't want that to happen again. Like if something happened between mine and your relationship, I know that you would like not necessarily steer clear from me, but you'd be like, I don't want to put myself in that position again for me to feel that way again.
The thing is with me, I feel like my reasonings are pretty good. Like I feel that throughout my life I've given, and if anything, like the more you get to know me, the more you'll realize like I give, from what I feel, chance over chance over chance over chance to like be in my life, be my friend, be, whatever it is. And if you find yourself in the position where you're no longer going to be in my life, it means that like it's happened so many times that I'm like, all right, I can't. I can't. I'm giving up because it's at this point hurting me too much to the point where it's just not gonna happen. It's fine. If do I think like it would probably take a pretty sizable amount of effort on his end to be in my life to a like a pretty great capacity, or even like a medium capacity. I don't know, but it would take quite a bit from him.
So it's not, but it's not something that you would. It's not something that you would personally pursue, or that you have interest in pursuing.
No, yeah.
But
Because like,
would you have interest in being this person's friend again if they pursued it?
at that point, I'm kind of like a neutral because I don't like I try not to hate anybody, but I'm like a neutral like observer at that point of like, what are you gonna do? Why do you want to like rekindle this friendship or whatever it is? And what does a friendship or whatever it is look like between me and you at this point of our lives? And why do we want to like do this again?
After being tainted, right?
After like what changed exactly that you feel like you could come back or want to come back, or at what capacity and stuff like that. I don't think I've ever like closed off to the point where like never again, unless you do some fucking crazy shit. Then maybe. But everybody could change.
I think a solid question too I could ask is because kind of even going off of Cisco is do you think that you forgiven him, right? And though maybe denying him the level of access that he once had, do you think that it gave him the airspace? And I want to make this more general so people can apply to their life. Does it give them the airspace to become the person that you once had this expectation of, right? Like you said yourself, like, you're like, damn, man, like, I know how good of a friend you can be. I know how much of a good person that you actually are. You did this thing to me. You let me down. So in this moment now that you deny access to them, do you think that your forgiveness and the way that you're choosing to forgive them, do you think it creates the airspace for them to become the person, that version that you had in your mind, not only to you, right, but to other people? Do you think that really, like, do you think it helps them that way? Or is that not like a part of your concern? You're just more worried about like what Damo's got, like what you're feeling. You know what I mean? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I think at that point though, like especially because this happened when I was younger, and I'm actively always trying to do this now, of really making sure that I'm not putting too much expectation on people. There's like obviously expectations that I have in certain people of like, obviously like my girlfriend, my dad, my mom, really, really close family. There's like certain expectations that I have because I think they've shown me the type of person they are. But there was this really cool TikTok that I saw once of like this dude, he was getting a haircut and he was talking to the barber, and his barber was like low-key a therapist. This shit was super insightful. And the dude who's getting cut up, he was saying that like he was just talking about his dad, and his dad had passed away. About like, oh, I wish my dad was here so we could play catch, so he can like chat about like the girl that I'm talking to, so he can teach me this, that, whatever. And the barber was like, you gotta let all that shit go. Like, he's gone. And that sounds a bit harsh, but he's like, but you also need to let go of that expectation of him, because he wasn't that person to like chat with girls with you or go play catch with you or do XYZ when he was alive. So like, you had the burial for your dad, but you have to have the burial for those expectations when he was around in the first place. Because that image is still in your mind that like, if he was here, he'd do XYZ, but it's just not true. And I think I'm actively always trying to do that. But like, as a young person, I learned that kind of with that person to be like, I feel like you could be this, but realistically you're just not, and it's not in your nature. And I shouldn't like hold you to something that maybe you don't want for your life, and I should let that go.
That's interesting. That's interesting that you brought that up because Corpse and I, before we went live, we were kind of. I actually said that. I said, when do you figure out the balance, right? How do you teeter away from that borderline of pursuing something that you yourself know that you want, but no longer seems attainable?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Like, how do you balance that? Because we're always taught to continue to follow what follow and get what you want and go after it if it's something that you really believe in. But especially when it deals with another person, right? Whether that be a significant other or a partner or a friend. If that person no longer wants any part of it or doesn't put in the effort for it, how much effort do you put in?
Mm-hmm.
And when do you stop that effort? You know what I mean? Because it's such a fine line, right? It's that balance between selfishness and selflessness.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to be able to just let go. See, so the last time that I had something like this happen, it was a long time ago. It wasn't that long ago, actually. It was a couple years ago, and it was a really good friend of mine, a friend that I like literally spent so much time with, did so many things with. Um, a brother have you. It was like somebody that I confided in with a lot. Um, and things just started to go astray later on in the years that we started hanging out. And things started getting different and expectations started getting different. Expectations of what I should do. Um, and when long story short, some personal things happened, and I thought it was in my best interest to do certain things. I did those certain things, and then got reprimanded for those things, and I didn't feel like I was in the wrong for that. But I turned to myself and I said, I can no longer do this, especially if I'm being reprimanded for doing the right thing. So I no longer want to put myself in a position to for that to happen again, like how I said that you typically do, Zero. So that was literally the last time that I really had to like cut somebody out of my life and be like, I forgive this person for doing these things, and I'm understanding on why I have to do this, and it sucks and it's hard because there's
Mm-hmm.
so many things that have happened between the two of us that I'll cherish for a lifetime. I mean, there's countless of memories that I have with this person, but I had to just bounce. Like I can't be around you anymore, bro. I have to jam out, and like I cried about it and it sucked. But I feel such a relief now that I'm here in the position that I'm in now, no longer having to worry about somebody else, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Or worry, not necessarily worry about somebody else, but worry about if I'm doing the right thing for this person, or if they're just self damaging. Then in turn damaging to me as well. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yum. I think it's really. What about you, Corpse?
Did you say yum?
No, I said yep.
Oh, Corpse is frozen. I think he's gonna lag out here in a second.
Damn! I thought he was just hella serious. Fuck.
He lagged out earlier. He said
Wait.
he's gonna pay for the Wi-Fi.
But he's
He's the host, but it won't.
he's
It
a
won't.
host. Oh,
It won't.
okay.
It won't. It won't. Because we're in the server. Told you.
Damn. All right. This is
Just me and my boy 0%.
This is the 0% saved. Oh, wait a second. That's kind of a sick ass title.
0% are saved.
No, 0% saved.
0%
Like on
saved.
on the loading screen.
I like that.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that's actually. Hey, we should start our own podcast, dog.
All right. Listen.
No, but I do want to start
We're gonna
another
cut Corpse
podcast.
out. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, yeah. Don't tell Corpse what we're doing, but Corpse is no longer a part of this podcast.
What do you want to? Oh,
Oh, there he
this
is.
embarrassing. Welcome back to Usual Tuesdays, everybody.
Are we back?
You're back.
You're back.
You are.
Okay. Oh my fucking god, dude. This is bullshit. I hate this fucking place. I hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. I can't fucking stand it.
Wait, is this a
Okay.
different? This is a different hotel than the last one?
Yeah. I went from I went from all the way from fucking San Benito up here to San Angelo. I'm fucking dude. I had to drive 7.5 hours to get to this bullshit fucking hotel. Hold on.
Damn. 7.5 hours.
Hey, let me tell you something. If this motherfucker's gonna be kicking it in Austin, I'm gonna tell you some spots to go to, dog.
Y'all need
boys.
someone with a better Wi-Fi connection. True.
Well, you know, our boy, he's on the road, bro. He's
on the
a
road,
traveling man. He's a traveling fucking man.
He's famous, okay?
He's
Yo,
famous.
I saw your clip of crumping. That was great.
Oh, thanks.
That was cool. Was that today?
Appreciate that.
That
No,
wasn't
that was
today.
a while back. Mm-mm.
Okay.
I apologize, everybody, but we're going to get
Hey,
through this.
you still cute. Hey, I have that shirt. It's in my closet somewhere. Yo, hold on, Damo. We've been doing this shit for like 4 months, and you still have not a single piece of gear. I just need to go and get a shirt made and just give it to you.
I need to.
Would you wear it? Would you wear it if I gave it to you?
Yeah, of course. But
Or give me some shorts. Give me some gray shorts. I'll get the logo printed on it, and there
that'd
you
actually
go.
be kind of fire. That'd be kind of fire. I'm not even gonna lie.
Oh man,
I've been trying to get like an embroidered hat with just a snake on it, but nobody would do it for me because they said it has too many colors in it. I'm
It's
just like, make it fucking
complicated.
simple.
It's a complicated snake, yeah.
yeah, just do like black and white or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, what the fuck?
All right, Corpse, you were gonna drop some knowledge.
Um, so I do think that it's interesting that we've both, well, so far we've all just mentioned, times that we've forgiven, right? And we've all chosen friendships, right? So I do want to just run with that a little bit. And I think that there's a power in when we're forgiving, right? And I think too many times, now this is especially with friends, right? A lot of people tend to think that there is a direct correlation between forgiveness and access, which I just can't agree with anymore, right? I used to think that because I forgave somebody, I should also allow them access to my life. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that is not the fucking case. And that sometimes me forgiving them is denying them the access to my life, because I no longer give them the air coverage to hurt me again, right? I give them no longer the air coverage to, like not meet the expectation of my own life, right? And I know that there's a problem with having expectations of people, but I think that's only a problem when you want to have them in your life indefinitely, right? So I had a friend, right, and he did me pretty fucking dirty, and I just can't look at him in the face anymore. I've seen his mom, I've been around his brother and his sisters, but when I see him, it's like, nah, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I'll shake your hand. Like, if we're in the same room, I'll shake your hand, man. I'll say what's up. But I generally make my exit if you're in the same room as me. Not that it's like going to turn into a physical confrontation, nothing like that. But I just feel though that I don't need to be in your space, and you don't need to be in mine. You don't deserve to be in mine. You know what I mean? Because to be in my space, I should be able to hold an expectation of you, that you're going to behave a certain way, that you're going to treat me a certain way, you're going to respect me a certain way. And if those expectations aren't met, then why would I be around you? Right? I have a firm philosophy that, like, when I'm in my home, right, if I can't pass out on the floor and leave my wallet out with you there, then you have no business being in my house. If I can't bring you around my girlfriend and not worry about you trying to make a move or some dumb shit, you have no business being around my girlfriend, right? Like, if I can't bring you around my son and not worry about the things you might say or the things you might do in front of him or around him, then you have no business, right? I don't have the time and nor the bandwidth to worry about those type of things. So me forgiving him isn't only saying like, hey man, I forgive you for these actions and these transgressions that you've maybe have perpetrated, but I'm also forgiving you for the sake of me. For me, like, I don't want to hate you, bro. I don't want to look at you a certain way. And if you You losing me as a friend does not equate you gaining an enemy. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you lost me as a friend, bro, like, it's cool, you know? It's cool. We're good, B. Right? Because if I forgive you and allow you access, if I have to forgive you a second time, you may gain an enemy.
Wait,
Right?
so just clarify for me. So when you're saying that you're allowing access, you mean like direct rights to like just chatting with you and being around you and things of that nature, right? You're not talking about like access to when you say access to your life or know about what's going on with you. Like social media is a whole thing now that we have to worry about in that sense. So
And
like,
motherfuckers get blocked these days.
see, I don't. Personally, I I don't have no reason to block somebody.
I do.
I don't like what does them seeing what's going on in my life. How does that affect me at all?
Because if they text me about it,
Then you don't respond.
but it's still, even just to see it, to see the question asked, right? Or, oh, hey man, congratulations! I seen that you did this event. It's like, hey, motherfucker, don't talk to me about my shit. Don't talk to me about none of my stuff, bro.
1 second, sorry.
I don't know. I think that's a little. I'm not gonna say harsh, right? Because depending on what the action was, but I mean, I guess block. I don't know. I don't block anybody. Like I don't. My shit's not private because obviously, if I have it up and my Instagram is not private, it's public, or my Facebook is public. Like if I post something, I only post the shit that I want people to see.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like my Instagram, I post different stuff on my Instagram than I post on my Twitter, or post different shit on my
Absolutely.
Twitter than I post on my Facebook. Because there's different.
Ooh, look at those gray shorts. God damn. Let
Sorry,
me
false,
see
false,
your
false, false,
dick.
false alarm, false
Let
alarm,
me
false alarm.
see your
But you, but
dick.
but you know what I'm saying? Like there's different social media platforms and people that follow me on those platforms based off of. I don't want to say my persona on those platforms, but what I post and what do I allow people to see. So I mean, I wouldn't say I'm the complete opposite of that, but I personally I just don't understand that. Like if I post something on Instagram and somebody texts me that I don't necessarily want to chat with, then I just won't respond because it's happened to us plenty of times, right? Like you'll
Mm-hmm.
reach out and text somebody and they won't respond, so then you get the message. But I guess you get the message too if if they're blocked.
Exactly. And because everything you just said, I agree with, bro. I post what I want to post. I show you what I want to show you, right? And my block list is short, extremely. Sydney's not even on that block list.
I don't know. Hold on. Let me see if I have anybody blocked on my
I feel
Instagram.
like the only time I block anybody
I don't
is if
think I do.
I don't want to see your shit.
Yeah, I think
That's
that's
the only time
I think
I
that's I think that's the right reason right there.
Like,
Well,
'cause
that's
I
an
don't
easy
care who sees my
unfollow.
shit.
That's an easy unfollow, right? I'm gonna unfollow
Oh, that
you.
too, that too. But like
All of that.
if their shit still comes by, I'm like, all right, but like if I'm associated with, oh well, no, I guess I wouldn't unfollow people that
I have
I don't know,
one
yeah,
person.
I
I
don't
have
know.
one person blocked on my Instagram.
So
I don't know if
my thing
how do you
is,
even
right?
check?
So I post what I want to post. My block list isn't that fucking long. So if you end up on that list, you know, between me and you fucked up. I don't want you to see my life.
Yeah, but then
Even the
there's you make
small
a burner account. You do all types of shit, bro. If people want to see your shit, they're gonna see your shit.
but that's on them. That's on them. Feel me? And if they can't live in the sorrows of their own actions, that's the healing they got to do on their own fucking time. You get me? That's what you got to do on your own fucking time, right? Because this is what I'm doing for me on my time, right? I don't want you seeing my shit. I don't want those text messages coming through. I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night, to go piss, check my phone real quick to see if, half the world blew up and to see your fucking name there. I don't want to. It disturbs my peace.
But
Right.
somebody's really affected you to that point.
Yeah.
So then, how can you say that you've forgiven them?
Because access and forgiveness do not walk hand in hand. They don't walk hand in hand. Right now, this was going to lead to the big question, right?
No. Stay on this for a second because I'm not in full understanding of what you're saying. So you're saying you could forgive somebody. I forgive you for your. So if it was, say it's me and you, for example, right? Just to make shit easy. Say it's me and you, for example, and you do some shit, some outlandish shit, right? Or I do some outlandish. No. You do some outlandish shit, right? And I'm like, fuck. I can't fuck with Pudge anymore. I don't fuck with Pudge anymore. But like I forgive him for what he's done. I get it. It's done. No love lost. I can't. Pudge can't come to my crib anymore. I'm not gonna hit him up, see how he's doing. Blah 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 blah.
Are we done
Right?
with the podcast?
I'm done with the podcast.
Damn.
That sucks.
What the
So
fuck, Putch? You fucked it up for
Sorry.
everybody.
now you're saying. I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. So now you're saying anything that has to do with me and you, like, is done. Like you don't. There's no more texting each other. There's no more this. There's no more that. And if you do so, then it allows you to be upset. Because I thought the whole point of forgiving is to no longer allow that to affect you. To no longer allow yourself to feel those feelings about that person.
No, okay, so that's a different department though, right? So let's say I hurt you. I hurt you to the point where you block me, no further contact, no further access. I don't get
I
to
wouldn't
look
block
at-
you, is what I'm saying.
Well, let's just say,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I, as the one who has forsaken, I do not get to dictate what your forgiveness looks like.
Sure.
Forgiveness is for those who have been forsaken, right? So if Cisco decides to block me, if Cisco decides to burn every picture, delete every podcast, everything, that's for him. That's for him to enjoy. That's for him to release. Because if this is what's going to bring him peace, if that's what's going to bring you happiness, if that's what's going to allow the energy to flow through and release, because forgiving and healing from that action that's been forgiven are two different things, and those don't walk hand in hand. These are all three things that happen simultaneously, but none of them are directly correlated, right?
Well, no, they are directly correlated because you have to forgive in order to progress any further.
That's true, right?
So the
But
correlation
what that
is
looks
in
like-
forgiveness.
but it's not directly correlated, meaning the more I forgive you, the more access I allow you, right?
But do you
That-
wait? But do you? Is there more forgiveness to give if you've forgiven somebody? Like, do you further forgive? If I say to you, I forgive you for what you've done, Corpse, I forgive you. Does that mean that in 2 more weeks I forgive you even more than what I forgave you today?
no,
I
no.
think arguably you kind of can. I feel like the further away from a situation you are, the less it could affect you, just in the fact that it's like time wise.
See, that's where I
you're
think there's a
farther
misconception.
gone.
I think
But then
that's
you're
where
not ready to forgive. Then if you need more time to allow yourself to process what has gone on, then you're not ready to forgive yet.
Farther in the history of it happening, I feel like farther it is, the more not necessarily you forgive it. I guess forget. You just like the emotions
no longer
aren't as
affects you the
strong.
same.
Yeah. The emotions aren't as strong and stuff like
See,
that.
that's where to me, that's where the healing process happens, right? And that's why I hate when I hear these people like, "Oh, I'm healing." It's like, no, dude, you're trying to like numb the pain, right? So if Cisco did something to me, I forgive him, right? Though I may cut off access, I cut off contact, all these things. That does not mean that my forgiveness holds any less weight. Because again, forgiveness looks different because forgiveness is for those who've been forsaken, right? And for me to have been forsaken, now this perception of you that I have has been crushed, right? Not only in this perception, but my ability to discern, like, damn, this guy was one of my best friends. He did me dirty. Like, how do I know if people even, how do I know all these other people aren't going to do me dirty? That's the problem. That's the problem that's solved when you start healing. You start saying, nah, man, like, one bad person or one bad action doesn't change the way that Damo feels about me, doesn't change the way that Sly feels about me, doesn't change the way that Sherwin feels about me. These people still hold me to a certain regard, and I shouldn't equate this friendship and the demise of this friendship with what may be going on or what may happen with this one, right? The more forgiveness is a simple action, right? It's saying, you did this, I may not agree with it, but you're still a human being, and I love you. But I love you
I
so.
disagree.
I
I
love
disagree.
you.
I don't
Hold
think
on.
forgiveness. I don't think forgiveness is a simple action, though.
It's a very simple
Well, it
action.
could take time. Well, I feel
It
like
takes
for
now.
it-
It takes
really,
time. Now it takes
No, no.
time for sure.
For it to be actual forgiveness, that's like saying that's like you fucking if you killed my dog. If it was a simple action, I could easily, as soon as you put a bullet in my dog's head, I could easily be like, I forgive you. No, it does. That's not how
I
forgiveness
feel like
works, though.
that kind of forgiveness is never. You never truly wrong somebody. But I don't think that's ever. I don't think that's what he's saying in terms of like it's easy. I'm just. I think he's saying like it's.
So what? Okay, so what is define forgiveness then? Define what you're saying forgiveness
Really,
is.
Okay.
really quick. I have like I have a chat by Grandmaster
Ooh, Grandmaster.
because he's hella wise. He says, I think Korpsx is living under the mantra of forgive but never forget. But the memory of what made him give the energy necessary to decide whether or not the event allows the same person to access his life.
Ooh, that's a good way. That's a good way. That's a good way to look at it. That's a good way. And
He's a
because
Grandmaster.
now
it.
a shout out Grandmaster. See, and the thing is saying I forgive you, right? It's not like saying, oh, I forgive you and everything's done. No. Forgiving, right? Giving is a consistent action, right? That means anytime.
Uh-oh.
Damn it, bro.
Right when he was about to drop a gem.
I have to pee. I have to
Right?
drop it.
So you about to leave me here by myself?
Yeah, bro. Entertain our chats, okay? Be safe. I'll be right back.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
Change the song. Shuffle.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't know what I can sing without getting fucking copyright. Wow, wow, wow thoughts. Wow, wow, wow thoughts. No, but see. All right, Daniel. I feel like that's such a horrible mantra to live by. Like the forgive but not, don't forget. Because then you shelter yourself too much. I feel like that's so negative. I don't know, man. Am I naive to the fact of the way that I live? I don't know. My life has been pretty chill from where I've been at, but I can't the forgive but not forget thing. I can't live that way because not every two people are the same. I don't know. People handle situations differently. Kelly, thank you for the like. Appreciate that. But I don't know. I personally don't think that that's a way to live. That's just me personally.
All right, I'm back. Are we back?
This
Can you
man,
guys hear me?
yeah.
Ah,
We gonna have to buy you a hotspot, bro.
dude, they have a fucking.
You can go to Verizon and get one.
I just took the basic fucking Wi-Fi thing, the free Wi-Fi that the hotel provides, and so I need to change. I need to change the settings on it. I need to just see if they'll charge my card for a high-speed internet. And fuck this, bro.
Well, how long are you gonna be on the road? How long are you gonna be on the road?
For a fucking month?
Okay, who do you have? Who do you have for your cell phone provider?
T-Mobile.
Chill out. Chill out.
T-Mobile? No. T-Mobile
kidding.
will sell you a Wi-Fi hotspot thing.
Yeah, but I feel like there's only 50 gigs, and I feel like it's kind of expensive.
If
And
he's
I
only
used,
if he
bro, I
if
was
he's
using
only
it for
using
the last podcast.
no. They give you like an actual device, bro. It's like a little device that you turn on for the hotspot, then you turn it off when you no longer need internet.
Oh,
Okay,
that might work.
drop what you were gonna say. I look. I still need you to define what you view forgiveness as.
So forgiveness, right? Let's take it. Forgiving, forgive. Look at the word.
No. You define it. Your
Hold on.
definition of it. Now, I don't want
I'm
fucking
getting there.
Webster
Hold on.
shit.
Get there,
No,
dog.
hold on.
him
Let me
get
fucking get there. I know. Goddamn.
Let him cook.
So forgive. So for I have now given to you the peace that I have left in me. I am now giving this to you. Run with it. Right? Forgiving you is saying I will continue to give you that peace. That means when I see you in public, that means when I think about you. That means when I look back on some of our memories, I don't wish ill on you. I don't speak ill of you, right? And I don't bring you up in conversations where your name doesn't belong, right? That's me being forgiving to you, right? So again, forgiving is for those who've been hurt, who have been perpetrated against. So for me to forgive someone, I'll name him Joseph. Love you, Joseph.
Joseph, you fuck. No.
And I forgive him. And I forgive him. He was one of my best friends, man. And
Oh damn.
and it sucks, right? Like, but I can't allow him the space in my life, right? Because I know where this can go. We're already sitting in it, right? So how much deeper can that rabbit hole go, right? So for me to forgive you is saying, man, hey man, I love you, bro. Like I love you, bro. Like, and when I see you, when I see your mom, I'm gonna hug your mom up, bro. Like, and I'm gonna give her the kisses and everything. She's still mom. Like she's still mom to me. But you're just Joe. You know, like you're just Joe now. You're not the dude that we used to fucking go tag walls with. You're not the dude who backed me up when certain shit was fucking hitting the wall. You're not the dude. I mean, bro, I drove to his house when grandpa died. Like the night I saw grandpa's dead fucking body, I drove straight to his house and sat there and cried. You know what I mean? So those memories, those all that, it's like, bro, you fucked that up for me. You fucked that up for you. You know what I mean? And so for me to forgive you, bro, is for me to give you the peace and the space, right? To hopefully, and this is why I was saying this to Damien earlier, was this hopefully, bro, you learned through me. I hope you learned that your presence, your friendship means something to people. It means something to people, bro. It meant something to me, right? So hopefully you learn like, damn, I can't be doing that again. Right now, if they do that to other people, that's on them. Right now, to say, well, Putch, you know what, man? Like, why block him? Why delete him? You know, are you truly forgiving him? Like, yeah, actually, I am. Right? Me healing from it is a different process. Forgiving him is one process. Access to me is a correlation to me. Honestly, is an accumulation of all these things. It's like, do me giving him the space to be a better person, does that mean that we work through this together? You know what I mean? Maybe not, right? Do I still forgive him though? Absolutely. You know what I mean? Because I don't wish bad on him. And when I see him, I'm not like running up trying to like fight him. You know, I've bumped into him in town. So forgiving is a simple action of saying, hey, I forgive you, man. Like, this is tough on me. I forgive you. And this is going to be a process for me, but I don't wish bad on you. Right. But healing and choosing to move past it, to learn from it, to say, like, because I could use another example in the same thing, is the saying like, man, I still love you, bro. I wish the best for you. I hope you find happiness. I hope you find a group of friends that hold you to a certain standard and you meet that standard and that you excel past that standard. Because the one I had for you, like Damien was saying earlier, the one I had for you was not met. It was not met, on mid ground. And I used to have a saying of, don't expect you from other people. But for the people that have access to me, for them to have access to my life, I should be able to expect me out of them. I should be able to expect the mutual respect, the mutual understanding and empathy and sympathy for our lives. You know what I'm saying? To say, oh, well, you forget, like, because if you turn the tables, right, and if somebody hurts you and you said, oh, I forgive you, well, why can't I come around? Why'd you block me? Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? Right? You don't get to dictate what somebody else's forgiveness or let alone what their healing process looks like. You know what I mean? Like, I might bash on people who are like, who become super promiscuous, or, they get into the drugs and alcohol after a certain issue might happen. I'm like, man, hey man, you ain't got to do all that. But that's how they're choosing to heal. Maybe is it toxic? Maybe is it detrimental to their life? Sure, whatever. I don't get to dictate that. Just like when people are mourning death, or they're mourning a relationship, or they're mourning a friendship, however they choose to go through that, that's on them, right? So forgiving is me giving you my love. It's me giving you the space to be a better person and saying, hey man, in all love and all sincerity, I hope you do better in the future. I hope, like, no love lost here, right? Access is lost for sure. You're not going to come back around me. You're not going to come around my son. not going to come around my daughter. Not going to come around my brothers and sisters, my girlfriend. None of that. It's not happening, right? That to me is where you have this weird trying. They all happen simultaneously, but they don't all happen like in direct correlation with each other, right? Like correlating meaning the more you forgive is the more access you give them, is the more this you give them, and the more that. I can no longer believe that that's truly how it works, if that makes sense.
So you're saying that anybody that you've forgiven and cut out of your life in the past will no longer ever have access into your life again?
No, because I've I've forgiven Sly for some stuff he's let me down on. Sylvester has.
Okay, so that's not what you're saying. Then you're saying that you can forgive somebody, they can do some fucked up shit to you, and you can allow them to still be in your life.
And I can give them access. I can. So that's why I'm saying forgiveness is for those who've been forsaken. You know what I mean? So my forgiveness to Sylvester, though I may not have known him, I have not known Sylvester as long as I've known Joseph, right? I've known Joseph since I was like in the fucking 4th grade, right? And though each transgression is different, I can't treat Sly the same way that I've treated Joe. I can't treat Sly the same way I've treated, Billy Bob and Sally Sue. Everything is different. Every action, everything hurts differently, right? And especially as we go through life, we kind of get accustomed to like, this has happened before, woo, woo, woo. But when you really look at it, I think the way that more people, I would hope that people would look at it is like, hey, I've seen this situation. I can be a little more forgiving, or they recognize like, hey, this has happened before. I know what it did to me when I allowed access to my life, and I don't know if I want to go there again.
So let me ask
right.
It seems like there's like you're like willfully looking at whether or not you should give them access anymore, but not necessarily that it's a definitive like no. If you've been wronged.
Yeah, I think I think that is a problem with that block list, right? That is a problem, and that's why if you do ever get blocked from me, it's like, dude, you fucked up, because I always want and it's one of my like toxic traits is I always want to be forgiving enough to people. It's one of my worst traits, dude. Is I want to be forgiving, like I want to be able to look at. Yeah, I want to.
Why is that? I don't understand. Why is that? Why is that toxic? Why is that toxic?
So let's take girls. Let's take girls.
Toxic.
Let's take girls.
Wait. It is. You're telling me right now.
Well, I don't even know. Wait. I don't even know what the behavior was. What was it? Sorry.
To be forgiving.
No. What was that? What it was?
There is a toxic level of forgiveness.
He just said that's one of my toxic traits is that I want to forgive people.
Yeah,
why is that toxic?
That can be toxic.
Well, I'm asking you how. Explain to me how it can be toxic.
Okay, so let's say a girl cheats on you. Yeah. Let's say a girl cheats on you, and you forgive her, and she does it again, and you forgive her again, and she does it again.
But I'm gonna use your logic against you. You just said forgiveness and access are two different things. So you can be forgiving and no longer give access to somebody that cheated on you. So how is that toxic?
What about sorry, not to be like even on like the not extreme scale, like what if there's a friend who's just doing like one too many bad things for you, so you're like, it's gonna be all right, he's all right, and then another thing like small transgression happens and everything builds up and you're just still forgiving them. That can be toxic to yourself, to your own mental.
But at some point it breaks, right? At some point there has to be a breaking point of some sort, right?
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So
some people I feel like some people will, even in broken states, bend themselves before bending the situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but the right people do that. The right people do that, in my opinion.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
Good people do that.
Bend themselves instead of bending the situation?
So.
No, absolutely.
So. No.
Absolutely they do. Okay, tell me why you would think that they're not, and I'll tell you why.
I would not bend myself. I refuse to bend myself instead of bend that situation. Because, again...
You just did it!
No, wait. Me forgiving Joseph,
wait, I don't know.
Right? Me forgiving Joseph.
Fuck the Joseph thing. You literally just did it with the last two girls you've chatted about on this podcast. You've literally bent yourself before bending the situation.
No, but those
And
are
look
like,
and look at where it led me.
But your understanding of, you gave it a chance. You gave both of those opportunities. Good things come with opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't put yourself in the face of adversity and opportunity, how are you going to progress?
How many times though do you smash your head into a wall before you say, "This is just giving me a headache, and I'm
No.
not getting anywhere with this"?
That is not, but that is not the same thing, though. This
It
is
is
like,
absolutely the same.
no, it's
thing,
not.
Cisco.
No, it's not. Because listen, the opportunity is not the same. The situation is not the same. This is more like you're getting on a skateboard, you go to one skate park, and you fall and hit your head trying to trick, but you really want to get that trick done. So you go to a different skate park and you fall there. It's the locations, the situation is different. It's not the same. So allowing yourself to, okay, explain to me how it's different. Explain to me how being opportunistic is wrong.
Wait. I'm not arguing on that stance. I'm arguing the fact that forgiveness to the detriment of yourself can be toxic. I think it can be.
It can be absolutely.
Can I argue? Do we disagree on that?
Yes.
Save? Okay.
Yep. 100%. I disagree with that.
I think there's, and it can be detrimental in so many different ways.
Hold on, time out. I'm going based off of when I asked Korpsx to give me the definition. I'm going based off of Korpsx's definition. Okay.
I'm giving them the space.
Forgiveness, healing, and access are all three different things that do not correlate with each other. Was what he said verbatim. So that is what I'm going off of. So based off of that logic, I do not believe that forgiveness is toxic.
It can be.
And I'm just asking for an explanation. How? How can it be toxic? And I gave you an example. I gave you the example, right? The last two girls that you have talked about on this podcast, opportunities, you've forgiven both of them. When you took the opportunity, you're somewhat in a healing process, and you're the one either deciding to give or not give access,
because it wasn't
how
true
much
forgiveness.
access.
Okay, hold on. Because it wasn't true forgiveness, Cisco.
Hold on. I want to hear what Demo has to say first, and then we can touch back on this because I want to hear what Demo's argument.
Wait, because also I can't really speak to Pudge's. I don't know if I necessarily agree with everything he said, but I think I get the gist of like what everything you're saying, that everything is kind of in its individual little planet, right? But you can kind of pick and choose in what situation you want to give somebody more forgiveness and less access, and more access and a little bit less forgiveness, time and whatever it may be. So it seems like that's kind of the mode that you're in depending on the situation. Am I getting that kind of right? Korpsx?
He's gathering
for the most part.
I want to make sure I answer it right.
No, yeah,
but you're saying more forgiveness, like there's more forgiveness to give. That was another point that I was trying to get somebody to explain to me. How do you give more forgiveness? If you've forgiven somebody, how do you give them more or less of how much you forgive?
No, forgiving them is a consistent act, right? It's a consistent.
I agree with you on that.
Okay, so check it out. And I'm gonna hurt some feelings with this one. When you forgive somebody wanting a certain result, you're not fucking forgiving them.
Correct.
You're not forgiving them.
I agree.
Right. So let's take Rosie. Right. I forgave her hoping that it would resolve certain issues in our relationship, that it would bring us closer, and that I could keep her in my life. I wasn't truly forgiving her. That's not true forgiveness.
That's what we do a lot of times as men.
Okay.
We do that a lot.
Okay. Okay. And that is toxic as fuck, my boy.
But that is not forgiving. But that's not forgiving somebody.
That is where forgiveness reaches toxicity.
To allow access? Is that what? I'm sorry. I kind of missed the. I don't get it.
No. What he's saying is, say you and your girlfriend did something, and you were like, "Fuck! If I don't forgive her, we can't move on in our relationship, and our relationship will only start to deteriorate if I don't forgive her."
Right in that moment.
No, just at all. If I don't forgive her, closer to the moment than not, right? Not allowing you to fully forgive somebody, just knowing that the act of saying I forgive you or trying to forgive is going to fix the situation. That's what Putch is saying. He said, I understand where he's coming from in saying that wanting to forgive is a toxic trait. I get that, but what I'm saying is actually forgiving somebody is not toxic. I don't believe. Because based off of what Korpsx just said, he wants to forgive somebody. He wants to forgive. Now he doesn't necessarily forgive them, but he wants to forgive somebody in order to. It's a selfish gain, right? If I know that if I forgive them, it can possibly boost
It can yield a
our
certain
relationship
result.
and also deter from what the actual issue is. That I can agree with. I can agree that at times, if you want to forgive somebody, you will forgive them without truly forgiving them. My argument is that forgiving somebody, actually forgiving somebody, is not toxic at all. If anything, it's better for you to forgive people because then you, based off of what we've talked about, the three of us, forgiving somebody is, like he said, the act of giving that person space, saying, "Hey, there's no love lost. You're no longer going to be involved in my life. I'm longer going to allow what you do in your life to affect mine." That is in a sense moving you forward to progressing to the healing stage. So if anything, that's a relieving thing and not toxic.
I think what okay then I think then we're talking past each other a little bit because I think what Corpse was saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, Corpse, was that you're saying toxic trait in terms of a little bit more loose and like quick to forgive, and Corpse is and Save is talking about the actual act of fully forgiving in its purest form to somebody who's wronged you. That
Yeah, I think that's where we're missing each other. I think that's where
Okay,
we're
well,
missing.
see,
Right.
the reason that I think we miss each other was because I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to clarify. You said forgiving was consistent. It's a consistent thing. If you forgive somebody, there's not I forgive you more, I forgive you less, I forgive you. That is one solid
Yes.
act.
One
So
solid
so okay. So are we talking about the want to forgive people? Because I want to forgive people. Like if somebody has wronged me, I'm like, yeah, I forgive you. But then it's like
do you
then
really?
then you move from there, right? It's like you said. I guess the access portion of it is how you move forward with that. If I
and
forgive
that's where
somebody, that doesn't mean that I'm always going to be around. I forgive
and
you for what
that's
you
and
did.
that's okay, and that's I guess better a better way to clarify is and that's where my toxic traits of forgiving that's where it becomes an issue, right? Is that for a long time I thought, okay, I forgive you, therefore I should allow you access into my life, and everything's cool because I forgave you, right? I got it. I'm man enough to look past certain things, right? And that's why I brought it up earlier too. Is I think I think people need to start shifting from that where we say, "Oh, I forgive you, but my man, I can't fuck with you. Like I just can't. Like I just can't. I gotta like I don't want you to see my life. I don't want the random text messages. I don't want the random happy birthdays. I don't want that. I can't like it disturbs my peace. Though I have forgiven you, I have forgiven you. Yeah, bro. Like I wish you the best. I wish you the best. I hope you get that job. I hope you and your family does good. All that shit, whatever. But the access, that's why I was saying forgiving, right? When you're forgiving somebody in the hopes that it will also yield a certain result, right? That's where it's mm, like, oh fuck. Like sometimes you have to forgive someone and forget them. That is the forgive and forget.
Well,
Sometimes you
that
gotta.
I feel like that's the part that I'm not understanding, though. In my opinion, like if you forgive somebody, if you genuinely forgive somebody,
Mm-hmm.
then I don't think there should be any effect. I don't think that any of those things that you mentioned should affect your life that negatively.
I don't
That's why
necessarily
they.
think that. Wait, I don't think it's like affecting your life, right? I feel like it's just like
Well, he said
a
it's
new
disturbing his peace.
a neutral of like go live your life, I'm gonna live mine. We don't
Mhm.
necessarily need to be in each other's. It's
Yeah,
like
no, I
time to
agree with
live our
that.
own shit.
I agree with that,
But I
but
don't think he's like. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
well, I'm
That's
saying
what,
I'm going based off of the it's disturbing my peace,
Yeah.
right? Like if I've forgiven somebody, I'm at peace at with what's happened with that person. I am at peace. I no longer feel any type of negativity towards that person, towards the scenario, towards anything. So I don't think if that person sent me a happy birthday or liked one of my pictures on Instagram or something, I'm not gonna be like, what the fuck, like you know, like
but it.
because
I
then it's generating a misconception that you have or the notion that you haven't forgiven that person. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say? Because it's affecting your life negatively.
But what my forgiveness looks like to you does not matter to me, right? Like if you did me wrong, my forgiveness, me forgiving you, how you perceive that, your perception doesn't change my reality. You get what I'm saying? So
Sure,
you might
but
say, "Oh, you blocked me. Did you really forgive me?" Like, yeah, actually I did. Actually I did. But
yeah,
just
but
because
I'm
I
not talking
deny
about
you
the
the
blocking
access,
portion. I'm not, but by not responding, you're denying access, right?
mhm.
Okay. So if you don't respond, you are no longer giving access. You're no longer giving access. So we've got that cleared. So they have no access because you're not responding. But what I'm saying is, if you scoff or something like, "Why the fuck did this motherfucker text me?" Have you truly forgiven that person if you're allowing it to affect you negatively? Is my question. Because based off of the notion that forgiveness is allowing space, having clarity in the situation, and no longer allowing that situation to affect you negatively, that should be continuous because
No,
forgiveness is consistent, right?
but forgiveness and healing from that, healing from the trauma that it may have caused, don't walk hand in hand either. That's why I was also saying that too. Healing, the access, and forgiving someone, they all happen. It's like a singular moment. You know what I mean? I'm choosing to forgive them. At the same time, I'm also choosing to heal from this action. And at the same time, I have to make a choice about how much access I allow you into my life, right? Because as I heal from this, just because I forgive you doesn't mean I healed from it. I forgave Sydney for what she did to me and what happened in our relationship. I did that years ago, right? And we were just speaking last week. I was like, man, I'm so happy, bro. Like, we finally, me and her finally chat. We laugh, She texted me now talking about, oh, your son did this today, bro. She hasn't ever talked, she ain't talked to me like that in years. You get what I'm saying? So for me to now finally be in a space to look at her and say, like, hey, man, I'm happy for you and Matthew. Oh, you guys got a beautiful family. It's taken me a while to get to that point. Doesn't change that I forgave her for what happened, right? It took me a while to heal, though. That I can 150% say. So to say I forgive you, I'm limiting my access to you because I am healing from this action. None of that is wrong to
I'm
anyone.
not saying no, but I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not. Go
Check
ahead,
this out.
Damo. Go ahead.
I feel like maybe I'm hyping this analogy up in my head a little bit too much. Let me chill.
He's like, woo, 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 woo.
I think this could be like the difference between like I think what Korpsx is saying and what Save is saying in terms of like what the difference I guess in. Anyway, I'm just gonna say the analogy. The analogy is like you meet up with a friend, they're at your house, and they're leaving, and you say like, "Have a good one, peace out. It was great." You close the door behind them. Or in a different world, right? You say, that was great. I had a great time. Come back anytime. Like that was amazing. And you close the door behind them. There's like two very different like I guess feelings that you get of like one is like we've kind of gone our separate ways. It's okay. Closing the door as in like I don't necessarily have to see your life. You don't necessarily have to see mine. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're being well. I think the like viewing of your life in social media terms is like blocking it or something is the same way of like physically detaching yourself and like not really being around somebody, if that makes sense. And like the physical sense. If like me and if Cisco had like some sort of weird falling out and you really fucked up or I really fucked up, you might see me like, I don't know, just not really look at you or like not really say bye to you or, that's that physical aspect. But in social media, it's so much harder. We're everywhere all the time. So like blocking might be that physical in the digital realm, that physical boundary of like, we're cool. You have your life, but I'm not I don't want to see it. Your happiness doesn't affect me in any negative way. I hope mine doesn't to you, but we're going to part ways.
I look at it like this, right? So let's take Rosie, right? Before May of last year, she did not exist to me. She was nothing. I didn't even know she existed, right? So a part of me, because she ended up on the block list, a part of me says this is me returning to my balance of I don't, you don't exist. You don't exist, right? I'm not gonna, like, as I type on my phone looking up, a Instagram or looking up a Twitter, if I type in a couple letters and see her face, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to see that anymore, right? Because a part of my healing process is I have to let that go. Because a part of my forgiveness, a part of me forgiving, the toxic part of me of forgiving, makes me want to reach out, rekindle, and redo, even though I know where that leads, right? Not only just because I know the situation, but sometimes the people that we forgive, they're not ready. They're not ready to accept that forgiveness, right? They might be like, thank you. But do they really accept it? Do they really have changed behavior? Because
I don't know
apologies
about
without
accepting, but understanding, I think, is what you're trying to
well,
say.
because apologies without changed behavior is manipulation.
Absolutely.
Okay, so for me to forgive you, right, and you want to maintain access to me, or I want to maintain access to you, if there's not changed behavior, right, have I really forgiven you? Because now there's an open space for continued transgression, continued this, continued that, continued this, and continued that. So for me to, with this situation in particular, it's a very, 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 that's why these conversations, when I hear these conversations, it's fun because everything is so particular to the situation itself. So with her, for me to get past it, for me to really say, all right, I'm putting this down, I'm moving past it, whatever, because I'm done. I'm fucking done worrying about it, bro. I'm tired of talking about it. But it's an awesome example. Like, I forgive her. Love you, girl. Like, if she ever watches this, love you, girl. Love you. You're a wonderful person, and I wish you the best, right? But me being in your life and you having access to mine, I don't think is not only is it not good for me, it's not good for you, right? You got to learn how to grow. You got to learn how to accept things for as they are, right? And
Tell her,
hopefully,
Push. Tell her.
and
Tell her,
hopefully
dog.
learn. I hope that I'm a lesson that you learn, and that the next person gets to enjoy the fruits of that knowledge, gets to enjoy the fruits of the lessons, that there was somebody in your life who cared about you, you lost it, and that's fine. It's fine. I learned my lesson, you learned yours, hopefully, right? Hopefully. That's the problem. Forgiving someone's a one-way street, right? Because that's for me. That's for me to do. That's for me to say, "Hey, I forgive you." It looks a million different ways, right? Just like oh boy getting his hair cut with oh boy and talking about his dad. You know what I'm saying? Him forgiving his dad is going to look a certain way, right? He obviously has no more access to his dad. So the healing process is going to look a certain way, right? But for me to say, hey, like, for me to look at someone and forgive them, all that power now comes back to me. So I can allow access if I want it, right? Like, fuck social media. Take social media out take it out the sphere. Even if we lived in the same city, right? I would still frequent the places I frequent, right? Even if we frequented them together, right? But if I seen you sitting in that chair, if I seen you sitting at the bar, you're just another person now. That's
Isn't that
how.
allowing access?
No, because they're like, you're not like allowing access would be going up saying like, how you doing, buddy? Like
Oh, good
this
to see you.
happened at
Good to see you.
work.
What you doing? Yeah, you
Let me
know what
let
I'm
you
saying.
know.
Or
So then,
hey,
but okay, so
you
then
wanna
if
sit
that's the
down with
case,
me?
right? If that's the case, let me ask you this.
Cisco's in
That's
debate mode. What the fuck,
well, yeah,
dog?
no,
You
because
good?
because I just don't agree with this stuff. Like personally, I just don't agree. Like I'm not gonna take anything away from Punch because that's
No, I know.
how he deals with his shit. You know what I mean? Like I just
It's okay
don't
to
agree
want to
with it.
forgive people that's hurt you, Cisco. It's okay to want to forgive.
I
people
do.
that's
I
hurt
forgive.
You, baby.
I forgive anybody that's ever hurt me, bro. I
think
for
you guys have like a different metric of like once
Yes.
forgiveness happens, what's the what
Absolutely.
like the access is like the pivotal part of.
Well, no. I think the healing process. Well, it's just confusing to me. Okay, the because you keep saying that the three things don't go hand in hand, but we keep talking about how each of them go hand in hand.
No.
You
No,
literally
because it seems like in per situation, I get both what you guys are saying, both of you. It seems
So
like per situation, he changes the metrics of each, which is why he's saying they don't go hand in hand,
but it's
depending on what
that's
happens.
wild. That is wild to me.
No, because you can't have like a blanket like.
Yeah, because you have one that's supposed to stay consistent.
No, no.
Would you,
Well,
would you forgive? Would you forgive that girl from New York the same way that you've forgiven T?
Oh my god.
I have nothing.
Sorry.
I have nothing to. But I have nothing to hold on to.
That's not the question. If
I-
they both had
Forgiveness
similar,
is the same.
if
Yes.
wait, but no, hold on. If they both had a similar action, a similar transgression, would you allow access to both of them equally? Would your healing process look the same equally? And would your forgiving
But
them?
but that's
forgiving
what
them
I'm
is
saying.
forgiving them.
Corpse,
Right.
listen to what you're saying, bro. You've literally sat here and said that the three do not go hand in hand. So why are we even bringing up the other two? Why
Because
can't we
they
just focus
happen.
on the forgiveness portion of it?
Because you
Like-
can't, boss. You can't.
Why can't you?
Because
Absolutely,
you have
can.
to heal when you forgive
Wait,
someone.
okay, now you're saying something a little different.
Because
Because
when you forgive them, right, you also have to heal from these actions, right?
So they go hand in hand.
so they're correlative.
Not always.
Corpse.
there is
You literally just said always, and then you just said not always. If I forgive somebody, that means that at some point I have to heal from what has happened, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If I have to heal from what has happened, then I have to prior to healing, I either then have to have a definition of what the access is going to be either before or after I go through the healing process, correct?
healing's not a linear action though.
But I'm not saying it's linear. What I'm saying, okay, if I forgive somebody, I either at some point have to heal from it and figure out what type of access I'm going to allow those people, right?
Yes.
So they go hand in hand.
No. Because the more access, hold on,
Wait,
wait,
no.
because hear it, right?
Okay.
Hear it. Because maybe you guys can take this and run with it. The more you heal, right? Some days it hurts more than others, right? There's some days you think about it all day. There's some days that you don't think about it at all. Healing's not a linear process, right? Access to them could also be a different linear process, right? You can give them more access to your life, right? And it can be more detrimental to you, right? Whereas you can give them less access and it can go like this. Sometimes they can be correlated to where you give them more access and it helps you go like this as well, right? That's why they are not directly correlated. These, like, if you put it down in a mathematical sense, these equations, depending on what numbers and how much here and how much there, these things are all variable. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, forgiveness equals whatever access and healing, however you want to do that, equals forgiveness. In what you're saying right now, forgiveness equals access and healing. That's what you're saying. It is a math equation. It just depends on where the variable of access and healing goes. Because you've already said it multiple times in this podcast. You said forgiveness is consistent. Your forgiveness is consistent throughout. How you forgive somebody is consistent. What that definition of that is constant. So forgiveness equals, and then there's the variables, right? Access and healing. So yes, they correlate if forgiveness equals access and healing.
I think also there's like an underlying. I'm trying to figure this out because, I mean, well, hold on. So let me read chat and as I'm trying to figure this out too. It says Save and Corpse don't agree because they have experienced trauma through a different lens and have decided to go about life after the fact, and how they decide to go about life after the fact. Definitely depends
I agree with
how
that.
much time person's
Absolutely.
healing is needed. But I was going to say as well, it seems like everything is correlative only in so much that per situation, each thing needs to be there. Not necessarily in how much each is given per situation, if that makes sense.
That's a good way. That's an excellent way to say it. That's an excellent
Therefore
way to say it.
correlating. But I think about it differently, right? Is because I feel personally that I have healed if I'm able to forgive you. Or I have started a healing process if I'm able to forgive you.
There you
because
go. That's
I
okay.
need to, something needs to be mended prior to me understanding that I need peace in this situation. Is what has happened really that much to allow access to me, or to continue to allow access to me enough where I can forgive you on what you're doing? And I feel like healing is the first process based off of the steps that you're giving, right? And I'm sitting here thinking about, oh, how do I forgive somebody? Blah, 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 blah. But I don't think forgiveness comes first, personally.
Real quick. I kind of want to get, because Corpse had I feel like a bigger question, and we're arguing on the basis of what forgiveness and access and different things are.
I think you have to define it, right? I think each of us have to define it in order to have the argument.
I'm just saying, I don't know if you want to, like, because we have like
No, go ahead,
hours, but if you
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to,
go
if you want to like
No,
get
no,
to
go ahead.
the biggest question.
Go ahead. Oh, what was the biggest question?
Yeah, Corpse had it. I don't know.
Oh, you had another question?
I wanted to know what it looked like. What does it look like for you, right? So for
What
me,
does forgiveness look like for me? That's what you're asking me?
what do these things like look like for you guys? Yeah. So for me, right, forgiveness, if we put it on a chart, right, forgiveness goes right. And where you may have healing, right, which is going to go up and down, right? And it may touch that consistent line and it might drop back down. And it might touch that consistent line and it might drop back down. And it might touch and then drop. Same thing with access, right? Access also moves in a similar way like that. Now, yes, are there points where these lines all intersect? They all intersect. Yes. Now, do I have hopes and prayers that I can live a life like Cisco, where I can say, you know what, I've forgiven you, I'm healed, and I will allow you, this access to my life? Yeah, sure. But at the same time, I have lived through my own experiences, which is true, right? I've lived through my own experiences where I've learned that it has been nothing but detrimental in 90% of the cases, right? There has not been a lot of people where I've been able to forgive them and allow them access. That's why Sly is such a fucking good friend to me. That's why I will go to bat for him, because I've been able to forgive him for actions. He has said, I'm sorry. He's explained his side of certain things. And I've been able to say, you know what, dude, I forgive you, man. You know what? I'm going to work on really trusting you as a homie. And it didn't take much. He really shows his colors, and his access to me has never diminished. Right. So where access, right, yeah, may have been on maybe a little more of a correlating line with my forgiveness with him, my healing process with the choices he's decided to make has went up and down, right? Because there's times when he's said certain things and I'm like, bro, I don't know about that. That sounds a little iffy. You know what I mean? But when I've forgiven him is when I chose to forgive him, right? And that is for me to hold and be consistent with, because forgiving, like I said, is for those who've been hurt. It's for those who've been forsaken, right? So to me, forgiveness, healing, and access, everyone likes to think that's like a bundled package, and to me it's not, right? The first step is saying I forgive you, right? Because if I forgive you, then I can start my healing process and say I can move past this. Once that happens, now I can decide how much access you have in my life. Sometimes it's a little, sometimes it's a lot. Sometimes I heal, some days I don't think about it, some days it's all that's on my mind. Right. There's days I still wake up with shit that happened between me and Sydney, and that's all that's on my mind. There's shit that's happened between me and other friends, other people. It's all that's on my mind. And sometimes I don't fucking think about it at all. So to me, forgiveness, there's a 3-part. If you put it on a chart, there's a 3-part chart, right? There's one consistent line, because if you truly forgive someone, you're not going to keep throwing it in their face. You're not going to keep bringing it up in discussion or be like, hey, you know what? I want to talk. Like, no. Forgive them. Let it go. Right. Let it go. But the access and what my healing process looks like it's not going to be on that consistent line. That's where I'm saying they're not directly correlated, because if they were, that means at the moment I choose to forgive you means I also choose to heal, and I'm just healed, and I also choose to give you full-blown access. And to me, that is just not how it works. It's just not how it works.
I'm understanding what you're saying. For me personally, it doesn't go that deep for me. It doesn't go deep enough to the access point. It doesn't go deep enough to the healing point. It's if well, and I also don't put myself into situations where I'm going to need to forgive somebody. You know what I mean? On that level of consciousness that I have to debate whether I'm healing now or doing this or can I forgive them now? It's like, to me, if I forgive somebody based off of the action that they've done, it's at that point, what was it that was done? Right? What was the severity of how much it impacted my life? Because I tr- I try and live my life where I love everything. I love everybody. I can forgive everybody, and I try to live my life in a peaceful manner. Right. That's why I try and surround myself with people like you two, who I know are going to help bring peace into my life, or help
Mm-hmm.
continue to bring peace into my life, and I can converse with and communicate deeply about things with. So it's like I give everybody a chance based off the parameters of how I want to live my life. That's how you have entered into my life and you stay in my life. I haven't had to forgive somebody in a very long time for any type of like domestic thing, right? So I just, if I forgive you, like I just don't think about what I forgave you for any longer. I forgive you. That's that. Let's move past it and move forward, because the only thing that I want in life is progression. And if I sit there and dwell on whatever the fucking it was, then I can't progress. So for me, forgiveness is just I love you. I appreciate you. I understand where you came from, or did whatever the fuck you did. Let's let it go. But I don't do so until I'm ready to do so. Until I've calculated everything in my head. Why did this happen? Did I deserve it? Blah 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 blah. Why do I think they may have done it? Was it to protect themselves? Was it to protect me? What was it for? Then I'm forgiving for this. Can we have a conversation about it? This is why I'm forgiving you. I want to hear your portion of why you did what you did, or whatever the case may be. And then done. Let's just move forward, bro. That's how I look at it. I think it's a little, it may correlate with some of the things that you're saying, but I don't. I feel like I don't look at it that deep.
I think you just put a different you put one of the variables in a different starting point. So you heal first.
Yeah,
You
and that's what I
decide to
was
heal
saying.
first. Yeah, you decide, and I'm hearing you, and I love you, bro. I love you.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
decide to heal first, right? You say, okay, now what is this access going to look like? Right now can I decide to forgive you? Where me, I say, no, I'm going to forgive you first, no matter what happened, whatever, what the fuck ever. I forgive you, but how much access am I going to now allow you into my life? You know what I'm saying? And then what does my healing process look like after this? And I think that's where our charts. But would you agree? Would you agree to say that those three things, when you're saying, oh, I'm gonna forgive somebody, that those other two things are also playing a factor in your life?
Yes, because I think they all correlate
Okay.
together.
Okay.
That's why it was frustrating me, because I think the three do go hand in hand. I think they all matter to one another. You know what
Yeah,
I
they
mean?
all happen at once. They all happen at once. They all. But for me, we're I think yeah, I think where we do differ is for me they are all. I think where we agree is they all happen. They're all happening all at the same time. They're all happening, but they're just the process and how we're approaching those three things happening just look a little different,
Yeah,
right?
that's why I said, right. Forgiveness equals access and healing
Mm-hmm.
for you, right? Because you forgive first, and that then moves to the point where mine is the opposite, right? Access, healing, and then forgiveness
Equals your level of forgiveness that you can
equals.
allow them.
Well, I allow the same level of forgiveness that, like you said, forgiveness to me is consistent. If I
Oh yeah,
forgive you,
yours
I'm at
equals.
peace.
Okay.
I'm at peace. I no longer want to discuss what the fuck happened. Let's get on with our lives and move fucking forward. I don't give a fuck. Let's hear you, Demo.
I was gonna say I feel like I'm in the middle of both of you, because I feel like in certain times, like in the beginning of this podcast, I've talked about situations where like, yeah, like let's forgive, let's forget, but like, do I need to be in your life? Probably not. Like it's okay. It's okay to like move forward and be different people, and for me to let go of like the version of you that was in my head that lived there that I thought you could be. Let's like let that go. You don't have to be bound by that anymore, in my head. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna subject myself to like the way that you want to live your life, right? It's like, it's all right. Like go have fun, go be yourself and live your happy life. Like don't let me get in the way of that. But I'm also on the side of like, the way that Save's describing in terms of like, I feel like I want things to be okay, especially with people I really, really, really love. I want things to be okay really, really quickly to the point where I'll take fault for whatever the fuck happened. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this a lot less recently. And I'm trying to really like take a second, be very like mindful of what happened, how I feel about it, how they might feel about it, and then going from there of like, okay, do I feel like I did something wrong? If I did, like, in what ways can I make it right? Or does like apologizing do it? And then from there, just being like, okay, well, like with the most, I think there's a really good, Jordan Peterson has a lot of good things to say, but like,
Especially lately.
I like, no, not lately, but he said this one thing of like, you can have an argument, and this is coming from like the idea in my head of like a spouse, right? There's something he said once that like you and a partner can be having an argument and be super super mad at each other, and as a default we want to be like, man, what the fuck, like she thinks that she deserves a fucking apology from me, like what the fuck, like she did everything wrong. And then like after a little bit, and that's might be your initial thought, but after a little bit you should come to the point of like humility after you've raged the fuck out, of saying like, all right, if this was like even 1% my fault, what is that 1%? And like find that and figure out like with most humility you can of like, what did I do wrong? And then like really figure out like, what did they do wrong as well? And not like in an angry, I want to get back at you, or I want to do something to slight you just like you slighted me way, in a way that's like you're trying to figure out what's going on and figuring out like how to move forward from them. Prank them, John. True.
I agree with that point so highly. And I think that there's so much peace in that. I feel like there's so much peace in humility. Because the more you understand the way that you work and your faults, it's you have to be cautious though, right? Because there could be times where you're like, well, I obviously did something wrong, when in turn you did not do anything wrong, right? But even like you said, if it's that 1% if that's the thing is, people these days are so afraid to admit when they're wrong, or it's either they're afraid to admit when they're wrong, or they don't want to put the work in. Those are the two main reasons that relationships, whether it be a partner relationship or friendship, no longer work, because nobody wants to admit when they're wrong. They cannot forgive themselves. They cannot forgive somebody else. They cannot admit defeat. Or, just like you said, you could go in a heated debate, and then, or an argument of some sort, and then you're like, well, fuck that. I'm not gonna fucking apologize. He needs to fucking apologize, or she needs to apologize. Fuck that shit. And that's why I said progression is so important, right? Because the moment that you can amount to what you've done, and like you said, admit humility, you move forward, you progress, you show love, you show forgiveness, and you're at so much more peace. And you're gonna notice this when you get older, Damo. Peace, it means so much, and that's what I've noticed. I've noticed that in this conversation is that like peace for me is different than what peace for Korpsx is, and peace for you is so much different, right? And that's why we also need to be careful. And that's why when you were chatting about your experience in the beginning of this conversation, that's why I asked you: is it based off of this person that you built up in your head, your friendship that fell apart? Was it based off of expectations that you put out there of what kind of friend you wanted? You know what I mean? And I also think that we need to be careful with that as well.
Yeah,
100%. that it takes time. And I think that the way I know, I give you a hard time about it all the time, about like, oh, I just became your friend like 5 podcasts ago, but I think that is so important as well. The way you do that and are cautious about who you call a friend is because you don't want to build somebody up in your head. And we do that very often, is build up these expectations after certain little interactions. And you need to be careful of that, because, there's no peace in that either.
Yeah. And that's a big thing too behind why I say like forgiveness is for those who've been forsaken. That's not from the Bible. That's something I just came up with. Like 60% of me forgiving somebody is got nothing to do with what they did, but it's got something to do with the expectations I set. It's got something to do with the way that I view them. It's got something to do with the way that I allowed certain things to transgress, right? Maybe I could have been more proactive or less reactive or whatever it may be. That's why when Cisco, when you asked that, I was like, yeah, like fuck. There's been a lot of people I forgave, not only just because of what they did, but the way that I viewed them and the way I allowed myself to see them through a certain lens, right?
And
Instead of just
I was gonna bring that up. Also, I didn't get a chance to, but because you said this guy Joe, and then you talked about how you had forgiven Sly for certain things, and I was gonna ask you if with the amount of time that you knew Joe, and in the amount of time that you've known Sly, if they were to do the same action, would one matter more because you've known them longer, or would you be able to heal and process everything the same because the action was the same?
that is an interesting question, and that I don't know. That I don't know, right?
Because
Because
through like natural thought, right? Instinctive thought, I would think that you would forgive the person that that you've known less, right? Because they know you personally less. But then I guess there's other variables that play a part, right? I mean, have you gone on long drives with both these people? Have you sat down and done a podcast with both these people? Have you danced with both these people? Have you gone out for ice cream with both these people? Have you laid in bed with both these people? Like, there's so many different variables. So, is it unfair? Is it unfair to say that if one person has done you wrong and you don't forgive them, or you forgive them and no longer allow access and don't do the same for other people, is that unfair?
I don't think so. I don't think so because yeah, because again, like every situation of forgiving someone looks different, right? And especially if you learn from the situations, the way that you're going to react to it is supposed to be different. And so where they've both had their own transgressions, whatever. I've known Joe a long time. I've known Sly a good amount of time. There has been times where their lives actually intersected, and one showed up for me where the other one didn't. And so there's a lot of variables to it, and that's why to me forgiving them is just the first step. Let me just forgive you, bro, for whatever has happened. And that's why now I need to decide how much access you have to me. Now I need to decide, you know what I mean? Or now I need to go on this journey of how I heal, right? If Sylvester did something to me, knowing what Joe had done to me and still perpetrated a similar act, it might yield a different result. You know what I mean?
Now,
Like,
but do you not also take into consideration maturity? Do you not also take into consideration the length of time that both of these cases may have happened? You know what I mean? Because I mean, some say that all snakes bite, all snakes look the same. You should be able to notice a snake, right?
mm-hmm.
But do they?
Well, the thing is it doesn't matter if somebody slapped me after they only known me for 2 days, and it doesn't matter if they slap me after if they've known me for 2 years. Slapping me is slapping me, right? And that's an action that I'm not going to allow in my life, right? So
Are
the
you talking about
longevity,
physically, or are you talking about like
Oh, metaphorically,
being
right?
played? I just want to make
Both,
sure.
I guess. Both.
yeah, either one. So
I mean,
hurt,
violence is not the case in
I
any
mean,
reason. I
but
don't agree with that.
hurting me is hurting me no matter how long, right?
Sure.
And that's a thing. That's a thing about my toxic forgiveness is oh, you don't know me that long, you didn't know that would upset me, blah blah blah. So I'm gonna keep letting you around. Do they learn? Do they learn by me allowing them to still be in my life after these transgressions, right? I could just simply say, hey man, listen, I don't fucking function with that. I don't think we should be around each other because I can see that this is going to continue. Or if this is a level of behavior that you think is okay, then what else in your little bag of behaviors do you also think is okay? And I don't
That's the
want to be
case. That's
around.
the
I
point. Go
think
ahead. Go
though,
ahead.
like that. I don't think what you just said is necessarily like a toxic level. It seems like I feel like as human beings, we got a level of like, um, flexibility. I don't know what the right word is. Of like forgiveness sounds like a not the right word, but you have some sort of leeway for a person, especially the newer they are. It's like, all right, you don't know me that well. It's okay. You're gonna be all right. We're still good, but
Yeah.
don't do that.
A
shit
nice
again.
guy, a nice guy would say that, but I'm no
Like,
longer concerned with being a nice guy. I'm trying to be a
for
good man.
because for example, like someone in the chat asked something very important. He said, "Would you be able to forgive somebody if they liked mint chocolate chip ice cream?"
Yeah.
Fuck y'all.
Just serious as it
I
gets,
still love
dog.
Cisco.
You know?
No, but see,
Cisco's
that's
in
the thing.
hot seat.
That's the thing, though. That's a point that I think I'm gonna disagree with you on right there, Corpse, and what you just said. You said I'm not trying to be a nice guy. I'm trying to be a good man, right?
Mhm.
And I think I understand your concept of that, but I think a good man is a nice guy. I think a good man is a forgiving man.
Not
A
always.
forgive. I
True. I
personally
agree with
think
that.
so.
I
I
don't think
personally think so.
always.
I personally think so.
Because there's
And
people's
because
hearts I've had to break in my
yeah,
pursuit of being a
ni-
good man.
yeah, but nice guys break people's hearts.
Not always.
No.
Nice,
Mm.
being the
In my
nice
head,
guy.
yeah, being the nice guy is like you're always the nice guy.
Well, then maybe
But
I look at it differently. But
maybe.
I think that a good man allows peace into his life, and I think
Yes.
nice guys know how to get to that peace.
Okay, so
Personally,
a good man to me, right, is the samurai who is a gardener, right? A nice guy is the gardener trying to be a samurai, right? So like where Damien earlier was like, sometimes I will even put the blame on myself just to gain more understanding. To me, that's a nice guy.
It's a
He's
nice
trying
guy.
to be
Okay.
nice in the situation. To where me, a good man is standing behind his values, no matter who is across the table, no matter who it is on the fucking chopping block, right? And
yeah, but
I mean,
that's argumentative though, because if you believe that your morals are right, right? If you believe in your heart that what you believe is correct, no matter what, and you have a
mhm,
conversation with somebody, and you're not, granted, you may be open to hearing what they have to say, but if you don't
mhm,
think that they can change your mind because your morals are set in a way, how is that
mhm.
being a good man?
Because I'm standing on my truth, and your perception of what that truth may be does not change my reality, the reality that I am living in. Because if we turn the table and it was opposite with this person, right, I would give them the same air coverage to say, hey, you know what, Putch, I hear you, man, I see where you're coming from, but I don't function with it. That's okay, right? That's
No,
where
no, I'm not
I
saying it's not okay, but that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you come to a table of men, right?
Mhm,
Say, no, no, seriously. Say it's
Okay.
like, say it's me, us three,
Mhm.
right? We link up with Cause, Mark Hoy, Matt Nicholson. You, Damo, you don't know these people, but Corpse knows these people. That's why I'm bringing them up,
Sure.
right? We sit at a table with these people. Some of them I consider great men. Some of
mhm,
them I consider not so much great men.
mhm,
We sat at a table together. We're at a dinner, and you say, these are my morals. This is what I stand and believe by. Nobody can
mhm,
change my mind. This is what I believe on. Believe on.
mhm,
But you're saying your truth is your truth, right? Because nobody
mhm,
views Earth, life, whatever, with the same heart, the same brain, the same eyes as you do. Nobody
mhm,
tastes food the same way that you taste it. Nobody smells flowers the same way that you smell them. But
mhm,
at some point, truth is truth, right?
mhm,
There is only one truth, right? At the
mhm,
end of the day, there is only one truth. May that be your truth, or may that be a scientific truth. May that believe that there is a higher being, not a higher being, whatever the case may be.
mhm.
But do you not think that that's combative by saying, these are my truths? Nothing that you tell me is going to change my mind on things. So why would anybody even try and bother to have a conversation about anything with you if that's how you approach the situation?
I think that's kind of a tough example because I don't quite believe. I believe that anyone who's set in their ways is set in their ways, and that's okay, right? But I also allow people to change their mind presented with new information, right? So if I'm set in my ways, it's because I'm set in the ways with the information that's been presented to me. Do you get what I'm saying? So if I'm now presented with new information that I could agree with and or disagree with, that should be. I'm trying to think of if I was talking to somebody from across the table. If it was this person, right, and I'm presenting them this information, do with it without will. You get what I'm saying? That does not make them combative. That just makes them refined in what they believe in, right? Like I could believe in God and somebody else could not. And I could sit there and pour out all this information proving that it exists in my reality, right? And they could take all that information and still say, nah, you know what? I still don't believe. I'm like, all right. That's
No,
fine.
no, no. But that's
You know
not
what I
what
mean?
I'm saying. I'm not saying the actual conversation in itself. I'm saying your mind frame of saying these are my like. Are you stubborn enough with the way that you say these are my morals? I'm going to be I'm set in my way of being of wanting to be a good man. Correct.
Hmm.
These are my morals. These are my values. This is what I stand behind. Because I myself want to be a good man. Me, Corpse, want to be a good man. Are you going to allow somebody to feed you the knowledge in order to change your mind, or are you going to base the knowledge off of what you uncover on what you find? Because they're
Oh no,
your
no.
morals, they're your values, that's your reality. What I'm saying is having that mind frame of these are my morals, I'm going to be a good man because I stand behind my morals. Are you going to
Hmm.
allow somebody to enter in and give you that information, and are you still therefore going to stand by your morals or take into consideration the information that you're being given?
No, no. Again, like I said, I always give people the space, not only with people but with myself, to change my opinions, to change certain views or values based off of information being presented to me. You know what I mean? And I mean, there's fucking lists of things that I could rattle off where it's like, I had a certain opinion on one thing, and now I'm much different. You know what I mean? Just based off of information presented to me, because the values, the morals, and everything that I have now have been refined because of the information that I've been living with and have pondered over for the past 30 fucking years. You know what I mean? And so me being a good man doesn't say, oh, I'm never going to change my opinion. But it's me saying, you know what? There's certain things that I will not agree with because it just goes against the bone, right? I will not accept certain things like certain levels of disrespect, or certain, there is certain beliefs I just will not fuck with, right? Like racism or bigotry. Like, I will not fuck with that. I do not allow it in my life. I don't care how you spin it. There's no way that you're going to ever make me believe that, one person is better than the other because of skin color, or this or that. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
so me being a good man, that part of me is where I'm being a good man, right? Being a nice guy, right? Being a nice guy is me saying, oh, you believe in this, and I'm going to let you talk to certain people a certain way, or I'm going to let you treat people a certain way because that's just how you are,
I don't
right?
think
That's
that's what a
just
nice guy is. So
that.
I'll say it like this, just with an analogy, and I know that Damien has to leave, but you brought up the analogy of the samurai that enters in and does the gardening work, or the gardener that tries to be the samurai. At some point, they have to teach each other.
mm, I can accept that. They have to
Kind
learn from
of.
each other eventually, right? But that's still, I
Oh,
don't
you
And
want
think.
a samurai
and
gardener?
and whether it's the morals of the gardener being taught to the samurai, at some point they're going to use each other's morals or what they've learned from each other, and I think that's the most important part.
Hmm. Well, the real analogies is what it's comparing is I'd rather be a warrior in a time of peace than somebody who tries to maintain peace in a time of war.
Oh,
You get what I'm saying?
absolutely,
So that's
absolutely.
that's where it's
But
really at.
but if you're somebody that only knows war, you have to learn peace,
Eventually,
and I think that's
right?
important. The only way to
It is
learn that
important.
is by learning from somebody that comes from peace,
But does
and in the
not.
time of
But that doesn't mean that you have to change the nature of who you are, right?
I agree
Like,
with you. I agree with
okay,
you 100%.
okay,
I
and
agree
that's
with you 100%.
and
Because
and
some
to
people
me,
wouldn't agree. Some people wouldn't agree with the way that I live. It's not that I
mhm.
disagree with the way that you live. I don't disagree with. I don't disagree with anything that you're saying, except for the fact that you don't think forgiveness correlates with healing and access.
Wait,
But we've already
hold
cleared
on,
that up.
really quick. It seems
Let's
like
hear it.
necessarily when you adopt a new type of thought process, there's so much of you that has to either die or like reconfigure. Like you almost
Mhm.
necessarily need to become a whole new type of person. So in terms of like being able to, I guess I'll take myself for an example. In order for me to avoid being the type of person to take the blame of whatever just happened onto myself completely, I need to reevaluate and reconstruct how I view conflict in its entirety, and then be able to be like, okay, well, you do XYZ, you need to do ABC before you ever do that, So now you got to reconstruct entirely the type of person you are to fit this new model of like this might be the way, because I actually don't know. This might be the way that best works for you in a way that you don't get hurt as much, that a way that heals the issue at hand more, and you learn like so much more, and like you necessarily turn into like a whole different person.
I wouldn't say
fair.
it's a completely new person. I think I would take what Korpsx said in where he said that his morals have been refined, or that things that has learned have tweaked certain things. I like that he used the word refined because he already had a set view on morals, but now they're refinished in a way that he thinks of them even stronger. I don't think that necessarily means that you have to become a whole new person. I do believe though that becoming a brand new person in a progressive way, to where, like myself for example, right, if you would have talked to me 10 to 15 years ago, I wouldn't be saying half the shit that I say now. I'd be that guy that runs up to the car and gets fucking maced in the face. But sometimes that guy pops out. You know what I mean? It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. You know what I mean? But I think that's why refining is so. I think that's such a perfect word to add into that concept of how we change our lives.
Well,
So
they say when you
I-
take on the role of a father and you take on the role of a husband, that you do away with childish acts and beliefs. You know what I mean? And so I can see where Damien's coming from, where it's like you sometimes have to reconfigure who you are, because I do remember just fucking 5 years ago, there was things I said like, oh, I'd never let my son do this and I'd never let my son do that. And then once he was born, I was like, I'm gonna let him do this and I'm gonna let him do that. Like, so definitely changed a lot. Like, and again, presented with new information, right? Like with the information I had at hand up until, December 11th, 2017, I was like, what the that moment happens and everything changed. In a year before that, with Pop passing, I had a certain belief system of what that would look like and how I would act, to let alone have my world turned upside down and have to act and behave and do things I never thought that I would have to act, do, and say. You know what I mean? And
Well, that's also the in why I was saying be cautious of expectations that you build. Not just that of other people that are in your life, but also of yourself.
Of yourself. Right? Yes, sir.
Because expectations will be broken, and most of the times will not be met. That's why you don't set expectations for you. That's why I just love to live in the moment a lot of the times, because if I set an expectation, a lot of times that expectation is never going to be met because things change so frequently.
But
I'm not saying to not set expectations. I'm just saying be wary and cautious of the expectations that you set.
Do reasonable expectations.
Well, what's reasonable though? What's reasonable though?
Things that I feel like you have to look at your situation pretty not unbiasedly, but just like in a realistic sense, in terms of like, I want to get from A to B. How could I do that? And I think Jordan Peterson is a good example for like, if you really can't see yourself do, something, jump from A to B, or from A to, like, let's say A to C, right? Be humble in terms of like, maybe you're going A to B, maybe you're going from 1 to 2, or maybe you're going from 1 to 1.5, and like not necessarily doing the whole progression. Give me 1 second.
This man, we're about to end the podcast and he has to go. Good night, Dad. Good night, Dad.
Can I have a good night, Cap?
Give me my good night kiss, Dad.
Shut your ass up. And also, really quick, sorry. Old dog, new tricks. I think that's bullshit. I think we give older people way too much fucking leeway to be dickheads.
I was being facetious. I was being facetious. Yeah, I didn't mean that.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't mean that.
Older people would just like take that and fucking run with the shit, and we left.
I was being facetious.
They could change, 100%. They're human.
Absolutely, everybody can change.
Everybody can change.
Everybody and anybody.
It's hard.
Listen. Let's revisit. We can revisit this podcast in 6 months and see if we all view things in the same way that we view them today. We could probably revisit whatever fucking topic we had in episode 2 or 3 and see where we sit with them.
I watched Friendships. I listened to our podcast on friendships, and that's how I got this. That's how I got here. I was like, because we were talking about like friends, and if they're keep doing certain shit, it's like, how long is it till we say, hey man, I just can't fucking be around you, man. Like, holler at me later, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, talk to me fucking later, So it's like, am I forgiving you for your actions? Like, are you healing? Like, am I healing from this? Because maybe what you did kind of hurt me too, watching you go through this, and I thought it was an easy, fucking very, very easy discussion to get on. So I love our podcast, guys. I really do.
Me too.
really good.
I love the fact that there will be days where Damo and I go at it, or you and I go at it, or I don't think you guys have gone at it yet, but and then
He kind of came at me last week. He kind of came at me a little bit.
A
He came
little
at me
bit.
Oh
a
yeah,
little
he
bit.
did.
He came at
Oh
me a
yeah,
little bit.
that's what I was gonna say because last week when I got to work on Wednesday, Damo was like, "Oh man, I feel kind of bad that I went at Corpse," but like it's all love, bro. Like
It is.
it's
I think even at the end, I was like, "Look, Corpse, I feel like I came at you a bit hard there."
I was like, you did.
Yeah,
Like, you did.
A
You
little
did.
bit, a little bit. But I
It's
feel
all
like,
good.
yeah, it was out of love, and I was like, "All right, bro,
It's
you
all good.
can't like talk the talk. You gotta let's see."
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that's
But I
good.
mean, but I
hope
think
you guys
it's-
do that for me too.
Yeah, because you can't like we talk. Well, but coming back to the friendship thing, right? Like you have to be able to push and really like. I wouldn't say see where your friendship stands with one another, right? But how do we learn new things unless we kind of? I don't want to say like dog
gotta
on one
dig.
another, but
No, you gotta
yeah, you have to
dig.
dig, right? Like, and you have to be like, well, what the fuck do you really mean by this? And why
Because
are you
the
saying
higher
it?
the
Why-
tree, the deeper the roots. The higher the tree, the deeper the
the
roots.
blacker the berry,
They say,
the sweeter
"Ooh,
the fruit.
you know what? One of my favorite quotes from the Lord and Savior Jordan Peterson. Again, the third time.
I'm clipping
No,
that
but this is
and
actually
looping
from
it.
a different. This is from a different psychologist. So he ripped it from somebody else. Okay, fucked. Okay, sorry. That was a bit aggressive. He's a great. Anyway, but he said one time he said like in order to have branches, it says it's exactly what you said. In order to have branches that reach up to heaven, you have to have roots that reach all the way down to hell. I think you've actually said that, Corpse. I
Absolutely.
feel like you've said that
May
before.
have. He may have.
Okay, it's by Corpse. Okay.
I mean,
But
Credit to
no,
Corpse.
but seriously, like that's why I enjoy doing this so much with you guys because you guys know if I'm coming at you because like you even said it there where you're like you're in debate mode, blah 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 blah. But like it's because
Sometimes,
I'm trying to understand what you mean and what you're really saying, like what you're really saying. You know what I mean? Like just let it the fuck out. And there was a point where like fucking Corpse put his shoulders down and he was like, "All right, listen. This is what the fuck I'm and like that's the point that I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get to that point right there where you're not like, yeah, this is not saying that you do that all the time, but what I'm saying is like when I'm in this type of discussion with somebody, it's because they're here and they're like, this is how I really feel about it. And then I'm like, no, bro, break it down. Where the fuck are you really coming from? And then relax and just fucking say it with your chest, little brother. You know what I mean? Like, just. But yeah, bro, I that's why I love doing this so much because I know that whether we're all wringing each other's necks throughout the podcast, like it's all love, like after, like people don't know this, like they don't know this, but we literally text each other every night after the podcast, whether it's like right after or 10 minutes later, and we're like, hey, great podcast, boys, great job tonight, that was so much fun, love you guys, see you guys on the next one. You know what I mean? Like. I love that. I always look for it. I know fucking Damo puts his silence on. He puts his do not disturb on. But I know
already on.
it's set for 10 o'clock.
It is 7 o'clock. I'm not even lying. But I'll still text you guys. Yeah.
Oh, I know. And you know, and I watch almost everything that Corpse does. I watch almost everything that Zero does. You know, and Corpse pops into the stream all the time and shows love. Damo pops into the streams when he can and shows love. So it's all love. I know we all have our own lives, and but yeah, man, I fucking love doing this. I love doing this. If I could do this full time, where's the sponsors at? Let me get a Gatorade sponsor, dog. Can we get
It's
somebody
coming.
to sponsor us with some vapes? Jesus
It's coming. I
fucking
know,
Christ.
dude.
No, bro, what?
We need some vape
Ew.
sponsors. Lost Mary.
Shout
Oh,
out.
I'm smoking Lucy. I might have a Lost Mary on here somewhere.
Oh, yeah, dude, just going with these conversations, there's times when we all agree on what we're saying. There's times when we disagree, and no matter what, whether I'm presented with new information that changes my opinion or it makes me more defined in my opinion, that's what I enjoy about this. And being able to have civil discourse, right? Which, again, this is why I'm glad we do this. It's three dudes having fucking conversation about hot topics, and we're having civil discourse. No one's just getting out of fucking pocket, insult after insult, and squawking These are dudes going back and forth, and we're challenging these ideas, and we're challenging it because it's like, yo, dog, what you just said is something I've never heard before. So please elaborate, because I need to hear this better defined because I just, because maybe I've never heard this. I've just never heard this shit before. And that is where true growth happens. And that sometimes growth is upwards and sometimes it's down. Sometimes you get more rooted in what you believe in, and that is fine. I don't mind someone being rooted in what they believe in. I think there needs to be more of that. There's too many spineless people walking around in their fucking kite flyers, just going where the fucking wind goes. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just real. That's just me being real. Even at 30 years old, I still see dudes who change their opinion based off what just got tweeted on fucking X. You know what I mean? Or what just got posted on Instagram.
I do that shit all the time.
Like, dude, how dare you? Like, how fucking dare you?
I just go on Twitter for the tits now, bro.
I'll just be like, bro, what did Cisco say? Oh damn, I'm outraged. What the fuck? And then like 2 minutes later, I'm like, oh no, it's fine. We're good.
like that scene in Anchorman, and Steve Carell goes, I don't know why we're yelling.
I've never seen that movie.
So many people yelling, they don't know why now. But
yeah, okay. So no one even knows why. So people just start fucking shouting dumb shit. You know what I mean? It's a great way. Really watch that movie. Get to that scene. That is literally 2020, like from 2019 to now. That is literally the world. Everyone's shouting over each other, and some people just start barking from the sidelines because they just want to shout. They just want to be a part of the fucking zeitgeist.
It's like if one person goes running, and then people start following them.
Yes.
Yeah, you know.
I'm not going to be last. I'm not going to be last.
Definitely not.
Well, I just want to know why the fuck we're running.
Yeah. Well, and then if everybody's like, oh, I was just doing it just because, I was like, well, I got a marathon to train for. That's why I'm running. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, okay. Real quick, have you guys seen that social experiment? There used to be this show that did like social experiments. I don't remember the fucking name of it, but they did this thing where they planted like one to three people in this office, and every time this bell went off, like boop, everybody would stand up and then they would sit down. And then slowly, non-actors would come in, and then they would play the sound, and the actors would stand up, and then they would sit back down. And then once one of the people started doing it, one by one, the actors would leave until it was a room full of people that had been in there, regular people. That every time it dinged, they would stand up, and then somebody was like, "Why are we doing this?" And they're like, "I don't know. Everybody else was doing it." Have you guys ever seen? I'm gonna see if I can find it and put it in the Discord. But that's the perfect example. It's fucking wild. I gotta find it. I'll find it and I'll send it to you guys. It was extremely interesting. I watched it a long time ago. All right, Big Daddy Korpsx, close us out, baby, because I know Damo has to go to sleep.
I gotta go to bed. Okay.
All right, so you guys,
we got work in the morning.
This has been another episode of the Usual Tuesday podcast. I'm sorry I am burnt. Been working in 103-degree weather. But thank you guys for fucking tuning in. This is one of the best times of the week. Probably the best times of the week for me. You guys know I always like to sign off with something, holy and a little spiritual to kind of kick off the rest of the week. In Matthew 6:14, right, Peter is speaking with Christ, and he asks, "How many times am I to forgive?" And Jesus replied, 77 times 7. A number to be taken symbolically, but not literally, for the never-ending way that we ought to forgive. For if we forgive those who have transgressed against us, our transgressions shall be forgiven by the Father. Yeah, so find it within yourself to forgive others. Don't live your life in the shadow of disagreement. Don't live in the shadows of hatred, anger, and or frustration. Yeah. Allow light to be shined and casted on the shadows of our ignorance. Yeah, I hope everyone has a good week. This has been the Usual Tuesday. Big Korpsx.
That's good. That was sick.
Go ahead, bro, because I can't follow that.
Fuck. You should have gone last. All right. What the fuck? Oh, I'm going 0% listen, 0%. Look at my YouTube channel, okay?
I make YouTube videos.
Branches heaven, roots hell. Boom. Inspirational, okay? Listen, thank you so much for watching. This has been the Usual Tuesdays. Everybody's here. All love. Big shout out to everybody's community. Like, subscribe. Thank you for viewing, taking the time, a minute, an hour, or even a second. Thank you. Always.
Thank you guys so much. What a fun fucking podcast we had tonight. I appreciate Korps's listeners. I appreciate Zero's listeners. All of our communities. You guys are the absolute best. We will see you guys next week. It's Damo's topic. I hope he comes up with something fun or edgy. But as always, you guys. Oh, this has been the usual Tuesdays. You guys stay healthy, stay happy. I love you guys. Keep smiling, and we will see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Adios.
Peace out. Bye, guys.
All right, boys.